If you ain't a gator, you must be gator bait. If you ain't a gator, you must be gator bait.
Welcome back and welcome in to another episode of If You Ain't a Gator podcast, part of the Stadium and Gale Network. I'm JB. This is my guy Kyle. You guys know him by now. We're hitting the ground running. Kyle, how's it been since the last time we talked? How's it going?
Good. We've survived the Florida blizzard, and Saturday we were Pirates for Gasparilla here in Tampa, and we everybody made it home okay, which is always a win when you're going to Gasparilla and dealing with that madness. So, and then got to end the weekend on Sunday with a big Gators basketball win, and then we had, as a local Lightning fan, got to watch the Stadium Series and watch the Bolts come from a 5-1 deficit into a shootout and win the game. And always nice as a Lightning fan to beat the Boston Bruins.
And got to see a goalie fight. That was pretty sick. As you know, I'm just getting into hockey, but that's from what they were saying last night on there, goalie fights are very rare. So I was like, I got pretty hyped. To see it. And I can tell you right now, I would not want to fight the goalie from the Tampa Bay Lightning. That is a big mamma jamma right there. But yes, I am absolutely frozen. I still don't think I've thawed out. I don't know what's going on out there. Someone needs to turn the heat on because this is insane. I like the cold, but this is pushing it too far, Florida. But we got a lot to talk about today. We're going to touch on Gators basketball. We're going to touch on John Summerall's first high school commitment, just being on the recruiting trail. Faulkner had some stuff to say about Aaron Philo and a little bit about Tramel Jones, and some stuff about possibly players being fined at another program. But we're going to touch on all of that today. And yeah, just hang out with us. Let's have some fun. So starting it off with Gators basketball. Roll, Tears, roll. What a beautiful, absolute beatdown that those boys took, especially wanting to bring back a G player. Real quick, side note, just say this. I loved hearing the crowd chant G League dropout. That had me crying, laughing. I was like sitting there trying to listen on my phone, watching on there. Hearing them chant G League dropout was hysterical. I loved every second of it. But yeah, just give me your rundown on Gators basketball, where they're at. Unfortunately, we took an L to another Alabama team earlier, like a few weeks, earlier this week, last week.
Last Saturday, Junior Day.
Yeah. So just give me your rundown of the game. Florida, Alabama. What'd you think?
Well, when I made this graphic for us, I strategically picked this photo of Kondo, which I think is from last season, but I liked the hand gesture he had because he's basically calling the G League saying, "Hey, take your boy Bediako back because he can't play in college basketball either." So it was a great win. I mean, they had so many points from the paint. They played unbelievable defense. I mean, I think they had 16 turnovers. We had 2. They were dominant in the paint. There was a run there where, I mean, I think they had 6 turnovers straight. Ball never touched the rim. They were just Gators defense was lights out. It was incredible to watch. And then on the scoring side, I thought Kondo for having a rough couple weeks that he's had, and some of the naysayers have been coming out pretty loudly and saying, hey, what happened to this guy? He was supposed to be kind of this big round pick. He's absolutely he silenced them at least yesterday, because he played, I think, his best game he's played in a long time. Hal had a great game as well, and Chin Yulu has just continued to dominate. And I think he's not only SEC Player of the Year, but he should be in the lead for NCAA Player of the Year. Just an incredible game that those guys have all played together. They really put it all together against a really good perimeter shooting team in Alabama. And Alabama, I mean, they made some great shots, but they did not let them get in a rhythm, and they forced them to try to score outside of inside the perimeter, not shooting threes. And ultimately, Bama broke real early in the second half. It was a little bit of a close game in the beginning, but man, Florida, they're starting to hit their stride, I feel like, and so it's really exciting to watch. And I'm I think if I looked at the schedule, I mean, Gators basketball, they don't play another ranked team the entire season. through the SEC play. So I like I said in the last show, I think this SEC is ours for the taking, and really the team needs to do that, and then just focus on getting better every day, and then getting ready for the tournament in March.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have to say you're right. Yeah, you harp on Xavier Lee a lot. That's my guy. I want to see him succeed. I do. I want to see him succeed, but I think he's got to throw that 99 jersey on because that's the only time that
And a
he has
haircut.
been worth anything that he was paid. But I think that with this team, I almost feel like, and I could be completely wrong, but I almost feel like they were trying to take the identity of last year's team, and it's like, but you're not that team. You are a completely different team. And when you realize, now this is where Todd Golden is so great, is he learns adjustments. Like he adjusts like no other, and he can do different rotations, and he dials in. He goes, okay, I took an L there, but I know how I got to fix this. But this team is just trying to shoot the three ball, and it's like you don't got it. You don't. Like no one on the team consistently has it other than Urban. He's the only one that I'm like, okay, when he shoots it up, I'm like, all right. I feel like when Walt would shoot last year, when he's shooting this year, I'm like, okay, I believe it's going in. Like every time he puts it up, I'm like, yeah, that ball's going in. But your main core, your Xavier Lee, your Boogie Flan, your Thomas Howell, your these guys, when they're shooting the mid-range shots, that's where we are getting the most buckets. And then even if it's off right there, the offensive rebounding this year is so much better than last year's. I mean, that was a big thing, is like you shot a three last year. If you missed, it's like, well, you need to turn on and play defense because offensive rebound is almost non-existent. But again, I do think that this team is still ironing things out. I think that they are trying to figure it out. This is a first-year team. Like when Walt got to Florida, he had a year to kind of figure it out, and then the next year is when they really took off. Whereas this year they're trying to figure it out, but it almost seems like they're just getting better. Yes, they dropped the ball against Auburn, but they seem to be getting it together and at the right time and just putting a beat down on teams like this. I do think that Condon needs to figure it out overall. Like we got to get more consistency from him. Instead of him having just one massive game, let's have like even 70% of that for a stretch of 5 or 6 games. I don't care if you have one off game. Yeah. So, but I do. I think that this team is clicking. I think this team is getting it together, and I just need them to stop shooting up that three ball, especially Boogie. I mean, I don't know what we have in total put together with Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee, but they're not earning that money whatsoever. They need to give some of that money to Chinulu because he is, I mean, that's the most improved player from last year to this year. I mean, last year by the first half of the game, he's already in foul trouble. This year, I mean, he's dominating the paint. He looks like a NBA draft pick, someone that's going to dominate the paint, and he is going to be a problem when you're in there with him. He's not getting pushed around anymore. He's not getting bullied. And I just love, like, whatever he did in the offseason or whoever he worked with, shout out to them because they helped this man. I mean, he hit the weight room, and I mean, golly. But yeah, I think that this team is clicking. They're getting it together. Now we just need it to stay consistent. Stay consistent. Don't drop the ball against an Auburn. Again, we have no ranked teams coming up. Let's dominate the rest of this, and let's get ready for March.
Yeah, I think they've got the most elite front court in the league. It's not even close. Again, if we can just get a little bit of guard play, like you said, if we can find somebody to hit some threes every once in a while, just to keep that defense honest, that's going to open up that mid-range stuff for them even more. But they've just done a phenomenal job with the pieces that they have and the pieces that are hot, and given the pieces that are cold. And so I think if they can link that together, figure that out, the guards start to play a little bit better, play to that level that, they were recruited as, I think this team can make another deep run.
I agree. And when they get hot, I mean, a Todd Golden team, when they get hot and the adjustments he makes, I mean, and shout out to Condon with the block on out. Oh my goodness, that about sent me through the roof when he blocked that thing. I was like, oh, this team is
having that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, this team's having fun. But sitting on the sideline for this game was our man, John Summerall, Coach John Summerall. And John Summerall and crew is just absolutely dominating right now when it comes to the recruiting trail. You know, you said this to me on the phone the other day that you don't feel like Coach Trout has even been home. Like, you don't even think he's even been in Gainesville. He is just out recruiting his tail end off. And every single time I feel like I pull up social media, he sent out an offer to somebody. I mean, look at him in this picture. He's in here multiple times.
He's already medallion platinum on every airline, I feel like, because he's just putting in miles and miles and miles,
Dude.
going all over the country, going after these guys. I mean, if you look at this collage of photos we put together, I mean, I felt like this would have been the Napier staff over an entire season. And this is just the first month before the first dead period in February. So it's just been amazing to see those guys out there. You know, especially with a new staff, you've got to get in front of these guys, because some of these guys might have familiarity with the program, you know, from the old staff, but you've got to come in there and not only, you know, keep up with those guys in that relationship that they might have had with the previous staff, but you've got to also get in front of them and let them know, hey, look, this is a different regime. We're moving differently. Here's the vision. Here's the goal. And hats off to the staff, because they are absolutely out there, and the trail is on fire.
Man. And that's the thing. Like, just bring it in with Billy Napier. His crew was great at recruiting. Honestly, I don't feel like they were elite at recruiting, but I feel like they were better than a lot. Honestly, they're better than your Dan Mullins. You know, they were really good at recruiting. And one thing that I worried about with hiring John Summerall was, is he a recruiter? And listening to his press conference, right? I don't know if you remember this, but in the press conference, he made a comment that was almost Dan Mullen-esque. Almost, but he called himself. And what he said is basically that he's going to coach. Oh, but also I need to recruit. Like, I need to recruit. And when he said that, I remember that's the one thing about his press conference that I got nervous about. I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't like that. I don't like that you said that, because there's not a coaching season and then a recruiting season. No, like, they go hand in hand. You're doing it 365. You got to wake up and wish those recruits a Merry Christmas, and then wish your kids a Merry Christmas. It's just how it works when you're in this field and you're getting paid as much as these guys are getting paid. So it made me nervous. And then to see this and to see what's on our screen right here in front of us, this is how you become an elite recruiter. You know, this is how, I mean, this backed by NIL money, but this is what you do. You put in the time, you put in the work, you are constantly out on the trail, and also still finding time to go to basketball games. I mean, this dude doesn't
deliver pizza to the people. Man of the people, John Summerall, delivering pizza in the freezing cold. Bro, that's how you build. That's how you build. You know, camaraderie and love from the fans is by doing those small things like that. But I think Summerall's got to really. If I had to guess, his strategy is, hey, look, during the offseason when the team's with Rusty Witt, that's when I got to go out there and I've got to get in front of everybody I can. Get these guys to either, you know, put us in the top 5, then eventually the top 3. And then that way, you know, when these guys start to commit, you know, in the early, late spring period, we don't have to worry about, you know, flipping guys late December and paying them a huge bag to get their flip. John Summerall's out there going, hey, look, I'm gonna start the season when I gotta start locking in on the team and X's and O's. Hey, I'm gonna have 6, 7, 8, 9 guys, the foundation of our class, already committed. So as long as I go out and do what I'm supposed to do, because I've told all these guys, hey, look, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win now. We're gonna win games. We're gonna win the SEC. As long as he keeps up that end of the bargain, all those guys stay in the boat. And so I think his strategy is, hey, I'm gonna go out there and get all these guys now. We're gonna get them in the boat. And then we're going to go win. That's going to keep them in the boat. And then the guys that are maybe on the fence or a little unsure of this new staff, once they start seeing the product on the field, they're going to go, okay, I'm going to commit to John Summerall, because what he told me in my house, you know, at breakfast in January is exactly what he's doing now in the middle of the season. And so I think that's a really good way to do it, because you're right. Recruiting never stops, but you're not going to also have Summerall flying, you know, across the country to go see a guy,
right,
you know, 2 or 3 days before a game. And so I think you've really got to, as a head coach now, build those relationships and get some of those guys in the boat early. And then, as you win on the field, that's when those things pay off. Those commitments come in, or they stay if they're already committed. And like you said, I thought the Napier staff for sure was a great recruiting staff, especially given the fact that they didn't win very often, right? The fact that we had, I think, every year under Napier, except maybe the first year, I think we had a top 15 class every single year. For the amount of wins we had over that period, I mean, I'd be hard pressed to find another coach that had that ranking every year in and year out, with the lack of wins that they had. So, I think Napier absolutely did a good job of selling the brand and selling the logo. But I think John Summerall is going to do that. And then, if he wins on the field in the fall and going forward, I think it makes it even easier, because again, it shouldn't be a hard place to recruit, right? Back in the day when the standard was the standard, the logo was the logo. And if you've got NIL money that you're spending, which I think we are, it's the Florida Gators aren't a hard sell. You're not selling NC State. You're not selling a Louisville to a Florida kid. You're going after kids, top talent in the state of Florida, one of the top two states in the nation for recruits. They're familiar with that Gator head.
Right. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, man, is like, if you can string together some wins, if you can bring those wins, that logo recruits itself. They've seen it. They know it's there. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, those kids, some of these kids don't remember your Tim Tebow's, your Percy Harvin's. Their parents do. Their parents do, and they're going to push them there. But the thing about it is that, again, if you live in the state of Florida, and I get it's with the other two as well, but this logo, this brand, it's a hop and skip away to get up there to a game. And that's my thing. It recruits itself. But right now, John Summerall knows what it means. We have not been a hot commodity. This isn't like what Billy Napier necessarily like. Yeah, Dan Mullen did something there. He won games. He had us in SEC championship. He had us in contention honestly, for a national championship at one point, if it wasn't for freaking Marco Wilson. But you got now John Summerall comes in and he goes, well, I'm trying to recruit for a team who just went 4-8. 4-8. Like, since I've been born, I don't know the Gators to go 4-8. That's disgusting. And so, yes, it recruits itself, but he does have a little bit more work to do. And that's the thing, is like, he is hitting it out of the park. And also, real quick side note, Coach Trout looks so much better in orange and blue than he does navy and white. So much better. It just feels right seeing that. It just feels right. But no, it's just such an awesome thing to see, with how much work is being put into this team and how much work is being put into recruiting, and not looking at it in the sense of we're just going to be a transfer portal team. Like, oh, next year we're going to have a whole new team because the transfer portal is where we're going to work our magic. No, he said, and we probably won't have a top 3 or top 2 high school recruiting class anymore, because he likes a percent to be high school and he likes a percent to be transfer portal. And I think that is the recipe for it. So to see this, though, I mean, it's got to make you almost don't want to pinch yourself, because you don't want to wake up, because everything so far, everything leading up, he's doing everything right. And with that, we get our first high school commit. So, number one, real quick, being our first high school commit, we almost lost him. And I'm not talking about lost him from decommitting or going to another school. He almost lost his life because John Summerall gets told by Amari Nugent, that he is going to commit. And John Summerall chest bumps him so hard that I'm pretty sure he almost knocked him into the shadow realm. I don't know what happened, but I love that energy. I think the kids love that energy. I think it probably took them by surprise, but there's no denying and there's no hiding his energy. He doesn't fake it. It's not phony. It's all real. And I think that's going to overflow onto these kids, and not just these commits, not these commits that we got to wait a year or so to see them play, or even 2 years to see play. No, that's going to overflow onto these kids that are in the building right now. There's no more vanilla Billy, no more. None of that. We got spicy Summerall now. That's what I'm gonna call him from now on.
Seeing Amari Nugent's face after Summerall body checked him, he didn't even look that surprised, or he wasn't mad, right? Like a Billy Napier recruit, if he had done that and it was John Summerall, they probably would have, his parents probably would have freaked out and they would have said, "Oh, I don't know about this guy. This guy's a
Yep.
psycho." Amari Nugent was just like, "Oh yeah, that's the energy. That's the reason I committed, is this dog energy that he's got."
Yep.
Because he realized probably in his meeting very quickly with Summerall is, hey, this dude's intense and this dude's kind of a psycho. And so seeing his reaction, I mean, I think everybody has to just absolutely love that type of energy that you see from John Summerall and the way he reacted to getting his first commit as the head coach of the Florida Gators. I mean,
Yep.
it was awesome. I watched it like 10 times, just analyzing every little clip, but it was amazing. And that, I think that's something that, other recruits will see, and I'm sure that's something that Amari will probably never forget, is, being at the basketball game and getting body checked by the head coach of the team you just committed to. So that's
Crazy.
awesome. Happy to have Amari on the board and in the class, in the fold. He's I've watched this film. He's an incredible player. He's more that boundary nickel guy, but he's got versatility. Plays zone really well.
Yep.
And I think he's, with the right coaching, he's another future ball hawk that we have committed to the Florida Gators.
100%. The way he can swivel his hips and the way he can get in and out of his break, and just the honestly, the way he plays the ball as well, like you said, a ball hawk is the biggest thing with him. And I think that's what we've missed a lot of at DB. I mean, you got your Verns, your Reggie Nelsons, you got these different guys who flew around to the ball. And I think we had a lot of guys who they did a lot of great coverage, but they weren't flying after that ball. And your Amari Nugents, you're going to get DBs in here now who are going to fly around after the ball. And that's when I watched this film, I was like, "Oh, I like this guy. I like this guy. I like how he plays. He feels like a Florida Gators DB." Like, that's just what I see
He's
from him.
And he's like, I think he measures in at 5'11", which, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, he's under 6 foot. I don't know if I like that." Personally, after seeing some of the recruits that we did grab from the Napier era, who were 6'1" and a half, 6'2", 6'2" and a half, I actually like a little bit of a shorter corner because they're not as lanky, and they fit into their build much quicker than some of those longer, lean
Yeah.
guys. And so he can move around the field, like you said. He's got really good turn on his hips. He plays well with his hands in coverage. I think, and again, this is another one that kind of came out of the blue. He clearly was very impressed with the messaging that the coaching staff gave him at junior day, and so we got this awesome surprise commit from him first in the class. And like I said, hats off to that coaching staff, because I think it's the hardest one is to get that first kid in the boat, right? Once you get that, then
Yeah.
the other guys look at it and they go, okay, they've got this corner there, and then you get another guy to commit, and they go, okay, they've got two guys now. Whereas last year, really, I think we were kind of just sitting there with Will Griffin, and thank God we had Will Griffin in the class. And that was
Yeah.
probably the most important position on the field is quarterback. So to get him in the class early and keep him there was great. But I think what we're going to see after this dead period in February here is we're going to start to see quite a few more guys coming into the fold for the Florida Gators.
100%. Yeah. Once you kind of break that seal, and then all of a sudden it starts to pour in. And I think that a few people might be hesitant. I don't think that we're going to see just a flooding in of recruits that are going to come in. I think we're going to games are going to have to be played, but I believe that this team and this staff and just overall, just the whole team as a whole, coaches, players, everyone, I think they're going to surprise people next year. This season that'll be coming up, and you're going to see recruits who want to play for Florida. You're going to see kids get denied, whereas I don't think a lot of kids got declined. They weren't like, "Oh no, we can't have you." You're going to see players wanting to come play for us.
Well, unless they had short arms, then we didn't want them. But
That's true. That's true. That's very true. Yeah, man.
no, I mean, I think when you look at some of the beat reporters and the recruiting insider guys and what they're saying online, I mean, they're all kind of shocked with the amount of OVs that we already have set, right? They're talking to
Yeah.
guys that we weren't even on their radar. Then they follow up with them after junior day or after an in-home visit, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I have an OV already set," and they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, that we didn't expect that." I mean, there's a big D end, Arns, who we didn't even make, I think, his top 10 or his top 8, and then he just dropped his top 4, top 5, and we were there, and that was just kind of a shock to
Yeah.
everybody on the beat, because they said, well, where did this come from? And he's like, hey, I met with the staff and I really like what they're doing. So I think, again, it gives, it's the off season, it's optimism season, but I think what we're seeing with this recruiting trail, I think it gives Florida Gator fans a lot of optimism.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's so hard. It's so hard because I told myself, I was like, all right, JB, listen, we're going to have a talk with ourselves here. And I'm like, with John Summerall and just what's going to happen, you're not going to go on that podcast. You're not going to lie. You're not going to do it. You're not going to go on there. You're not going to hype this staff. You're going to wait until games are played, and then you're going to hype it. And now look, I can't help myself. I'm like, oh, we're going undefeated, 16-0 next season. It's over. Like, we're winning the national championship. We got Buster Faulkner. We got Coach Trout at the O-line. I mean, I'm ready to lie. It is just such a almost surreal thing. I think I told you on the phone the other day, I'm like, I don't want even someone close to me to pinch me because I don't want to wake up, because I feel like I'm freaking dreaming, because we have, Urban Meyer tells John Summerall that he sees himself 20 years ago in him. And John Summerall's like, can you say that again? And I'm like, yeah, say that again, because it feels that way. You have your players coach who builds a foundation there. And yeah, it may have been a vanilla type of foundation, but there is a foundation there. The team was left different than when Dan Mullen left. Do I think that it's a just steadfast, like straight ahead locker room? No. I think John Summerall will create that, but I think he has a much better head start of a locker room than what Billy Napier did. And stuff like this, it speaks for itself. Commitments this quick and the OVs that he has, it all speaks for itself, all of it as a whole. But moving on to this next graphic, I'm going to let you take the reins here, and I'm going to let you explain to everybody. Oh, moving on to Buster Faulkner. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead. Buster Faulkner on Aaron Philo. I'm going to let you give your opinion on what you heard, because I know what I heard, but his rant about Aaron Philo and then his touch on Tramel Jones. Just give me your opinion. Break it down for me.
Yeah, so Buster was on Gator Tales with Sean Kelly, and they did just a very high level interview, just kind of an introductory type of get to know you, get Gator fans get to know Buster Faulkner. And one of the interesting things that I picked up from that was, we've been hearing about, it's Aaron Philo versus Tramel Jones, and we have no evidence to the contrary of that point. But what I did think was very interesting, and what a lot of people, in Gator Nation are saying is, hey, look, this Aaron Philo's got to step up, right? He's got to step up over Tramel. You know, they're both in a competition, but I think he's got a little bit of a leg up. And one of the things that Buster said in the interview that I thought was really telling was, when Sean asked him, hey, tell us a little bit about what you got in both quarterbacks, he went on a pretty nice long rant, raving about Philo and how he's a great passer, natural passer of the football. He makes all of the reads that he needs to make very quickly at the line to make sure we're in the right position. He gets the ball out of his hands really quickly. He's an extremely accurate quarterback. And then they said, oh, and in Tramel, I recruited him. I kind of know him, and he's got a great arm. And that was kind of it. And now, granted, hasn't probably worked out with a lot, in person with Tramel. He's probably just watched a lot of practice tape and maybe a little bit of the sporadic plays he did last year for us. But I do think that, again, it's going to be an uphill climb for Tramel. And I think if we do start to hear that for some reason Tramel is the starter, or is looking like he might be the starter, then that would have me very excited, because I think to beat out a guy like Aaron Philo is going to be very difficult. It's going to be an absolute uphill climb for him. But Buster went out there and got his guy, and even John Summerall on junior day at the basketball game said that. He goes, the quarterback room's a question mark, but I trust my offensive coordinator, and Buster likes him. So I'll be curious to see, as we start to get some intel out of the spring practice, how that looks, that QB battle, how it shapes up. But it does seem like, Buster picked kind of his handpicked guy that he really wanted. And so I think, Philo's, it's kind of going to be his job to lose. Not saying he's an automatic win, but I do think he's absolutely going to have a little bit of a leg up on the competition, because, like I said, that interview was telling to me, when you talk about two candidates for a job and you're raving about one guy, and then you kind of just, give a very vanilla statement on the second guy. I think it's telling
Yeah.
as to exactly who you kind of have your money on going into the spring competition.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to make myself believe that there's going to be a quarterback battle, whether there is or isn't. I do know in anyone who has ever touched a football or even looked at any type of play call, you know that if Buster has a certain set of plays and Philo knows them, he already knows like, okay, this is what I need to call. This is what he wants me to do. I know this, this, and this. But a big thing I heard about Buster before we ever hired him, one of the main things when I was looking into him, and I knew who he was, obviously, but I like to do my due diligence and just a little bit of research and just see what the masses are saying. One of the main things that I heard about Buster Faulkner is that the offensive genius that he is he can transform his offense to anybody that is on the field. So I think that, and I'm probably just talking myself into this, but I fully believe that whoever is scoring the most touchdowns throughout practice is who is going to get the nod. Now, the reason I want to make myself believe that is because I don't want to believe that we have another like Lagway situation where it's, oh, it should be, Tramel Jones should be playing because, and I get it, DJ was hurt, but Tramel should have the nod. I think he should get a go at it because it's not looking right. But I do believe in my heart that if Philo is the guy, if he is a starter, week 1, FAU, Philo is trotting out there for the first snap of the offense, I fully believe he won that job. I don't think it was handed to him. I don't think it was given to him. Again, I may be making that up in my head to try to see the best in this team, but I stand by this. Buster Faulkner is not wanting to be the Florida Gators OC for no reason. He's here because he knows that this is a money-making job. He didn't want to go be the head coach of Southern Miss. He didn't want to go be the head coach of Tulane. He has said, I want a legit job. Where do you get that from? You get that from a University of Florida, a team that hasn't had offense. If you turn around and you score a bunch of points with these guys, then yes, now you have these higher names calling. It may not be your Georgias and your Oregons that are calling. They're pretty set in stone, but you can have some higher jobs if like a Mizzou comes open or whatever the case may be. In Arkansas, I understand they got new, like whatever, but when those jobs come calling, he wants to call. He wants to be called. So he's not bringing in a guy just because he's like, yeah, I like this guy. He's bringing in a guy that he's like, I know that I can score a lot of points with this guy, whether it be Philo, whether it be Tramel, whether, who knows, maybe it be Will Griffin. Who knows a Will Griffin? We don't even really talk about him. But yes, listening to what we're discussing, I'm like, oh yeah, Aaron Philo's trotting out there week 1. Aaron Philo is going to be slinging the ball around for us, and Tramel Jones is going to have, he's going to be just waiting for a possible injury, is all it is. Because until then, it's Philo's job.
Well, I think the biggest thing with offensive coordinators, right, when they pick their quarterback, not all the time does an offensive coordinator pick the most physically gifted guy, right?
Yeah.
Because you can go out there and have all the physical skills and traits that you need, but if you can't run the offense effectively and you can't make sound decisions and take care of the football, then the offense doesn't work. And so, does Tramel have a better arm than Philo? Maybe, but I don't think that arm talent or mobility are going to win the job for the quarterback of the Florida Gators. It's going to come down to who does Buster trust, right? If he has to think about it, when he makes that decision, he's probably going, well, who's going to give us the best chance to win? Who's going to put us in the best position? And also, if it's a 2-minute drive and I need 5 points, I need a touchdown to win the game. Who do I trust that's going to be able to not only physically, use his tools to get us down the field, but also mentally? And so that's where, again, I think, I'd be excited for either one. Whoever gets named the starter, I'll be excited for. I'll be behind them because they made it through the gauntlet of spring ball and winning that competition. But if we're trying to pull all the data that we can and pull every little nugget we can and read the tea leaves, I think Buster, really, really likes Philo, and that's that's probably a big reason why Philo, who was already set in stone to be the starting quarterback of Georgia Tech next year, transfers to Florida, for a QB competition. So it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out in the spring.
Yeah, and just to touch on it a little bit more, it kind of cracks me up when I see people go, "Well, we haven't seen a lot of Aaron Philo," and I'm like, "We ain't seen a lot of Tramel Jones." You've seen less of Tramel Jones actually. I know that we're not, locking in every single Saturday watching Georgia Tech play football, but I've at least seen Aaron Philo go win a football game for him. I've seen him run a 30 something yard run with 30 seconds left or whatever the case may be and win a game for them. So I know he's got that in him. I know he has that ability. I know he has that killer mentality, that winner's mentality to him, that he's going to go win a game. I'm not saying that Tramel doesn't, but I don't know what Tramel has. So it's not like Philo is coming in going against like a DJ. DJ was kind of known. And I get that DJ was hurt, but I feel like, if you have a set in stone guy and then Philo transfers in and then Philo wins it, it's like, well, how's he winning over this guy? But with Tramel, we don't know. You don't know anything about Will. With Tramel, you don't know a whole lot. You see him play a select few snaps, but you don't know a whole lot about him. So that's why I believe, yes, I believe the best guy is going to play. And who do I think the best guy is going to be? It's probably going to be Philo. I mean, let's just be real here. But again, I do think that if Tramel is out at practice, he's studying that playbook day in and day out. Every second he's not there, he's studying that playbook and he's figuring it out. If he is scoring more touchdowns, I genuinely believe that Buster Faulkner is going to look at Philo and be like, hey, man, love you, guy, but this dude is scoring more touchdowns than you are at practice. And this dude is going to score more touchdowns.
The best news that Gator fans can hear versus maybe what we dealt with last year is that if, God forbid, one of those two quarterbacks has a calf injury and misses most of spring, I don't expect him to be the starter.
No.
Right? So if there's an injury, the other guy's probably going to win the job. And that's a nice it sounds like common sense, but we've learned over the last year that is not always the case when you have a guy that's technically the bona fide starter. He's the 5-star. Oh, he was hurt all spring. He has no continuity with the receivers. He's not in rhythm with them. But week one, we're going to trot him out there, and we'll see how he does. That's not going to happen, at least this year. So that gives me some optimism there that at least if whoever's healthy and whoever wins the job will be the man for the job. So that gives me a little bit of optimism there versus maybe what we dealt with last year.
Yeah. And I genuinely believe that if a quarterback, he won't even get to 5 interceptions. I believe if he gets to 3 interceptions, I think that John Summerall is going to look at Buster Faulkner and be like, hey, time to make a switch. Like, we got to do something. We got to throw something out there. We have to do something that's different. Not, hey, this guy has the yips this game, and we're just going to keep him out there. And also, on top of keeping him out there, I know that we have arguably the best running back in the country, but hey, we're going to keep throwing it. I mean, we have a competent set of coaches out there, and that's why I'm trusting these guys. These guys have done nothing. Go ahead.
If we get into a situation where we've thrown 2 or 3 picks, I'm pretty sure John Summerall is going to say the same thing he said at his opening press conference to Buster, which is, hey, dude, or hey, dog, we've got the best running back or one of the best running backs in the nation. Just run him 10 more times than you normally would.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean,
we know how Summerall is going to go if that happens.
Exactly. And I'll be honest with you, I don't care which quarterback it is. I mean, put me in some shoulder pads, throw a jersey on me. With this crew of guys that we have, I mean, these receivers and this running backs, let me correct myself there. I mean, to be honest with you, if you're not completely just blind or cross-eyed or whatever the case may be, you can get the ball to these guys. Get them the ball. No one's asking you to make an Aaron Rodgers type throw where you got to run around and then throw a corner out, between 3 defenders. No one's asking you to do that. Get your guys the ball, and I promise you these guys are going to be just fine. We're not going to see anything just mind-blowing from these quarterbacks. We're not. I don't think either of them. I don't think that either of them are I honestly, I think we're going to see a lot of like a Mendoza type play. It's just going to be just get the ball to your playmakers. You don't have to make anything crazy happen. Yes, you've seen Mendoza in the national championship game make a run for a touchdown. We have seen Aaron Philo do that. Now, granted, it's not the national championship, but that's all we're asking of you. If you need to make a play, go make the play. Other than that, be accurate, be on time, and get the ball to your guys and be smart with the ball. That's all we're asking you. And I think that we have two, if not, I think our most athletic guy at quarterback is Will Griffin. I think overall, I think he is your special talent. And I think we'll see that in a couple of years when he's ready to go, because I think he's a Gator through and through. But as for the other two, they're going to be your game managers. So don't expect any of these guys to be your Tim Tebow's or your Cam Newtons. It's not happening. They're going to be smart with the ball, and whoever gets the job is, I think, in my opinion, is the smartest guy. They're the one who distributes the ball to these playmakers. It's why you bring in Eric Singleton. It's why you retain a Jaden Ball, a Dallas Wilson, a Vernell Brown. It's why you keep those guys. They do not need to be anything over the top. Point blank, period.
But you don't have to have a quarterback win a game for you with this offense, right? Because in the last regime, I think last year I think when we played USF or somebody, the DC or the players came out and said, yeah, we knew exactly what they were going to run at all times.
Yeah.
We knew what was coming. You're not going to know what's coming with a buster offense, especially with the receivers and the running back that we have back there, right? Oh, we're going to run the ball a bunch. Okay, yeah, great. They're going to keep running the ball. Great. And that's when we go and we hit them over the top of the play action. And that's where you don't need, somebody back there being able to put the ball between three corners, because I promise you, after they've run Jaden Ball down their throats 3 or 4 times for 30 yards, and then they drop a play action, you're going to see VB3 Dallas or Eric Singleton running wide open with nobody around him for the next 15 to 20 yards. And all that quarterback's got to do is just lay that ball up there and let him run under it.
Yeah. And you know what's insane? This is just real quick side note. We talk about those three, and arguably who could end up being the breakout receiver of the year could be Davion Gross. It's insane that we have him there. It's a good problem to have. But it's like, you have so many weapons. So many. Now, don't get me wrong. On the flip side of Aaron Philo knowing Buster Faulkner's offense, Terrell Jones knows Dallas Wilson. He knows Vernell Brown. He knows Jaden Ball. He knows these guys. So, we look at it on one side, but there is another side to it. So you got to give and take there. But I'm excited, man. I think, like you said, I don't care who's out there. You could bring Trayon Harris back and roll him out there, and I'm going to support him.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know about that either.
Like you said, though, with Davion Gross, with the amount of weapons we've got at receiver, I can't wait for one of the games in the middle of the season where Davion just, comes off the sideline real quiet, gets into the slot. The DBs and the defensive coordinator are all looking at all the other eye candy we've got. They're looking, they're trying to see what Jaden Ball's doing pre-snap. They're looking at where Dallas and Eric are lined up. And then you hit a bang 8 route with Davion Gross, on some 3rd, 4th string cornerback, and he just rips it wide open. That's what I'm excited for.
Bro,
because he's a home run hitter. Yeah, he's a home run hitter.
No matter what, whoever is in there, I trust this man right here on our screen. That's the biggest thing. I think that his mind is so much better. Again, you and I have spoke about a lot of this stuff just throughout even the last week. I don't think that Kyle Trask he wasn't your Cam Newton. He wasn't your Tim Tebow, but he got into a scheme that he understood, and Dan Mullen made him, he should have won the Heisman. I stand by that. Should have won the Heisman. And that was because of a Dan Mullen offense, an offensive mind like Dan Mullen. You have your certain guys, your Jalen Hurts in the NFL. I think he's a system guy. He's a guy who he gets into a system and you revolve it, around what you need to, and you're that smart. That's what Billy Napier thinks he's that smart, but he's not. Whereas this guy is a offensive genius. I feel like every waking moment, I think he's thinking about scoring touchdowns. And that's what we're going to do. I don't care who's back there. With this regime and this team, we're going to score a lot of touchdowns. We just need the defense to get the ball back. Get us some turnovers this year, and we're going to score a lot more. But yeah, so just moving on. Like I said, I'm gonna let you take the reins of this next segment. I'm gonna let you tell the people about this, and I'll just fit in where I fit in here. Tell us what we're working with here.
So we went ahead and took a look at transfer portal and high school rankings on all the major sites. We tallied them up. We weighted them accordingly, how we thought the impact would be on the field for next year. And this doesn't take into account returning talent. But what this does show is who are you bringing in new, right? And where does the Gators rank as far as the SEC goes? And so you're going to see teams like Georgia and Alabama that are lower on the list, but that's because they have a lot of returning talent, right? When you've got 35 5 stars and 100 4 stars on your roster, you don't need to really go out there and make huge splashes in the portal. But I think I liked building this graphic because there's been a big narrative out there that hey, the Gators, yeah, we had some talent, but it only won 4 games, and we're not really out there spending money. We're not doing a lot of things in the portal. We're not being aggressive. But if you look at where we rank as far as the SEC goes, which in my opinion is still the premier conference in college football, we're sitting right there behind the 3 big boys in Texas A&M, LSU, and Texas, and right ahead of Tennessee just by a few decimal points. And so it gives me a lot of optimism going into this season because I think we were like the 13th or 15th ranked on the power index last year. And so most of those guys, we lose a few guys to the draft. We lost a few guys to the portal. But if you look at our rankings, we brought in more guys than we lost. Our average was of new guys coming in was higher than the guys that we lost. So we upgraded on every departure that we lost, other than the draft, right? You're never going to be able to bring in first round draft pick guys in the transfer portal because they're either going to the first round or they're getting paid enough money that they're not going to leave their school. And so I didn't expect us to go out there and shoot the lights out and bring in the top 5 portal guys, maybe like what LSU did or what A&M did or Texas did with Cam Coleman. But I do think that they were very strategic and tactical with how they built this roster. They filled the positions of need. They filled it with really good talent. And we've got a really solid high school recruiting class coming in, which is rare when you have a new coach and a new regime change because you generally lose a lot of your high school commits. I mean, go look at Penn State, for instance, right? They had to bring in 40 guys, mainly from Iowa State, because they stole their coach, but they lost their entire recruiting class. John Summerall didn't lose anybody but Carson Baker. And that was at a position of running back where we're probably okay for at least one more year with Jaden Ball there. But I look at this and I say, well, if you look at the new coaches, other than an LSU, right, where they went out and got the number 1 guy that many people believed was the top tier, you look at University of Kentucky and Auburn and Arkansas. Those 3 are at the bottom of the SEC rankings on our offseason rankings, and those are all 3 with new coaches. And so if the Gators were sitting down there with a 55% grade, I'd be a lot more nervous and less optimistic about the season and go, oh man, this is going to be one of those transition years. But if you look at where we finished in the top 15 on transfer portal rankings and high school recruiting. And then you look at the Fab 5 we brought back, you look at all the guys, the actual impact players that, and the young guys and some of the older guys in our room that we brought back. This team has a lot of talent, and they've added a lot of talent this offseason. And so I think it's just a great way to show Gator Nation, hey, look, John Summerall is out there absolutely working his tail off. And it's not just going out there and getting new high school recruits in 2027. He went and took care of the guys on the roster that he got brought on to coach. And so for me, I think that this team has all of the weapons and the capabilities that they need to make a nice run. And that's where, you're hearing a lot of people saying, hey, look, this could be a lot of people on Twitter, hey, my floor is a 8-9 win season this year. The reason that they're seeing that optimism is because they're looking at what we brought back and what we're bringing in. And so I think this graph shows really well as that this staff is working and they're retaining and acquiring top talent.
Yeah. And just, just looking at this graphic here, and like you said, just look at the bottom 3 there, new coaches, right? That's massive because we could be back there. Eli Drinkowitz was a coach that was in talks, like it was in consideration that, hey, we might go after him. Look where he's sitting, 4th to last right there. Everybody was high on Vanderbilt's Coach Lee. Look at him right there, fifth to last. Ole Miss, new head coach. I get that he's been there, but he's a new head coach. He's lower on the tier there. Whereas John Summerall, being in fourth place right there, being in the numbers with the Texas, the LSU, the A&M. And granted, we don't know about John Summerall yet. We know about his coaches he brought in, but Billy Napier beat two of these coaches that are ahead of him. Beat two of them. And not this year, but he didn't have to face them this year. But he did. I'm sorry. He had to face Lane Kiffin this year, but he beat Lane Kiffin last year. Whereas Lane Kiffin's there. He beat Coach Sark this year, right? Coaching matters. So if you can stay in that range of talent with them, you can compete. And we're not far off. We're not. We're right there with the Tennessee, the Texas. Whereas I don't think Coach Sark is a great coach. I think that he gets by a lot on talent, but I don't think he's a great coach. So I look at this and I'm like, okay, we're 4.3 away from him. With that being said, I look at that, I kind of round up a little bit. And I'm like, okay, with better coaching, I think that we can reach that right there. With Lane Kiffin, we don't have to play a Lane Kiffin this year unless it's the SEC championship game, but we don't play LSU this year. I don't think we play A&M this year, do we? I can't remember off the top of my head. Okay, so one person ahead of us we play, and I don't think that Coach Sark is some lights out coach. He's not a Kirby Smart. I think that overall right now, I think Kirby Smart is the best coach in the SEC until we got John Summerall. Now we got the best coach. But looking at this, I'm like, we play one team ahead of us. The rest are behind us. So talent-wise, we got them. And then also with coaching-wise, I also still think we got them. And that's where I think that this could make for a great season. Now, are these players going to play together, like the O-line and whatnot that we've brought in and that we've retained? But just looking at this, it has to bring you some type of positivity, some type of hope.
The big key with this graphic is that the Gators have acquired top talent. They have top talent on the roster. And so now it's up to John Summerall and Buster Faulkner and Brad White and the staff to go out there and win the games. Yeah. It's not going to be for a lack of talent. You don't have one of the top running backs in the nation. You don't have two studs, actually three studs now at wide receiver. You don't have all the returning pieces that we brought back on the defense and not win games unless it's for coaching.
Yeah.
Because that was our problem last year. We had the talent last year. We were in the top 15 for talent last year. What did that get us? It got us 4 wins. And so by bringing back some of that talent, and I'll be very curious when they come out with the power rankings, where we fit as far as what this roster looks like. I imagine it's going to be another top 15 team. And so the coaches are the ones that can either keep your ranking, right? When the season's over, we finish in the top 15 or we don't. And the coaches allow us they can outcoach teams and beat teams that are better than us on paper. And so that's really going to be John Summerall's job. And I'm going to be curious to see how he does, because we have the talent. There's no excuse. We didn't go out in the portal and get the guys. We went out in the portal and got the guys. We got a great high school recruiting class. He's making headways now with the current recruits. And that's probably why a lot of these guys are committing. They see the young talent that we have. It's if those young guys can take a step up, and if those transfer portal additions live up to the hype and live up to what this coaching staff expects of them. And then finally, and most importantly, can this coaching staff extract that talent and make it translate on the field with wins?
Yeah, 1,000%, man. It's like, just looking at this team, it is insane because we're retaining the talent, right? That's the big thing. You're bringing in pieces. We've talked about Chapman. Everyone's like, oh, well, the D-line is kind of weak. And it's like, well, Chapman don't think so. Chapman's not out here freaking out about it. Coach Summerall, who's a defensive-minded guy, he's not freaking out about it. If they started freaking out a little bit, then I'm going to freak out. But we have the top talent. We have talked about this. You and I have talked about this. Burn in the comments. We have talked about this. We're a touch away. You're a competent coach away. And I get that it's like, while we have that coach, we don't want to harp on him. We don't want to knock on him. But we were an offensive coach away. Buster Faulkner, that's what he brings with this. You bring the pieces in. We have the talent there. There's no reason, I stand by this, there's no reason we can't make a splash next year. Indiana did it year one. There's teams that have done it year one. I'm not saying we're going to go win a natty year one, but there's no reason that we don't compete with every game that we're in. There's not a team on that schedule next year that should be better than us. Not one. There should not be one team that they may be a touch better than us, but we shouldn't get blown out. There should be no Florida, Tennessee of this year, no Florida, Kentucky of this. None of that should happen. None of that. And,
Yeah, just speaking on the schedule too, if you look at that graphic, right, we play 4 out of those top 5 bottom teams. We play Vanderbilt, we play Mizzou, and granted, Mizzou, they may not have done a lot in high school recruiting or the transfer portal this year, but they have some talent, and Eli Drinkowitz is a great coach. And then we get to go up against a new Kentucky and Auburn, which is, might as well just put USF back on that schedule list for next year. But again, when we talked about it on our last show, this schedule is not as big of a gauntlet as it has been in the last few years. And we only play one of those top 3 teams on our offseason rankings. So there's a lot of reasons to be optimism as a Florida Gator fan.
Yeah. And I'll tell you right now, this is a big thing. Again, just going to Vern, I asked him, what do you think of our corners, right? What do you think of our cornerbacks on defense? Do you think that these are these guys, this and that? And he'll give you your honest opinion of them. He'll tell you whether he loves all of them. I'm going to tell you right now, he loves all of them. But he'll give you that breakdown of them. And yeah, no, I don't think Will is going to get it this year. It's going to be
love it. If they come out and say Will Griffin's the starting quarterback, then I know we got us a dude.
Yeah, we got us one right there. We got one of them ones if we do, Vern. We got one of them ones. But I think the thing is that this team as a whole, right? And everyone's going to play better. Overall, everyone's going to play better if you start producing. I'm sorry, but any defensive player, our defense played lights out this year. But if you're not producing points, they're going to be like, why am I trying to stop them? Because you're not helping me at all. And to look at this graphic, I'm like, man, we are up there now. We are up there with the big boys. I would love to see a graphic. I would love to see what we were last year. Because we got a guy in John Summerall who is, he hit the portal running. He's like, I know who I want, I know what I want, and I'm going after it. Whereas like Billy Napier is like, hey, send me workout film. Send me this. Oh, let's do this. So I'm going to let you get off campus and we're going to do this. No, this man is going after who he wants. He's getting guys that ain't even in the portal to jump in the portal to come to Florida and Eric Singleton. Did we have a little scare with Texas Tech? Yeah. But that's the thing.
Did he ever go visit? No, he didn't.
Exactly. He got shoved in the locker. Texas Tech as a whole. And I'm like, again, I think this team, there's going to be a lot of surprises. I think how Jaden Woods was a surprise this year. As Vernon's talking about right here. All I know is we need a pass rusher. I think that KJ Ford is going to be one of them guys. I think that he's going to
Texas is going to be an impact player early on. And I really like the transfer, the 6'7" guy we got in Big O. Yeah. I ain't going to say that name, but Big O, bruv, he looks the part. That's all I'll say. If he can get some good coaching with Chapman on the D-line side, offensive tackles better watch out.
Yeah, I feel like Big O, I think he's going to scoot in a little bit. But I trust Coach Chapman. I think that he has an ability to make these guys better. I think that you have coaches, positional coaches. They're more important than even your head coach because they are the ones who are elevating you. So if you have a positional coach who can make guys better, I truly believe that I could put my hands in the dirt and I think Coach Chat could get me to the quarterback. I could go sack Coach Stockton. I feel like that. And I'm all of 5'10", like $170. But I feel like he could coach me up to where I could get there. Like, okay, I can get to him because he taught me. He elevated me. He did that. That's a big thing. Your positional coaches matter even more than your head coach. Your head coach there is to hire those guys. He's there to bring them in, and he's there to steer the ship. Okay, there's 22 starters on this team, but there's all these guys on this team. I got to lead them in this direction, but I'm putting these guys into position to lead us straight ahead and to just absolutely teach these guys and elevate these guys. That's why quarterback play. Look at this. We had a guy at QB coach who had no idea what he was doing. He had never done it before. And now look at us right here. This is the key too. Coach Rusty Witt. You know, this is somebody, I'm not just sharing this just because this is somebody who's been there, done that, and played for the team that we're talking about. But you have to have all of it. You got to stop having so many injuries. I think I saw a stat that Tulane was like top 5 least injured team all year long. Who do you think did that? I don't care what conference it's in. They're still hitting each other. Yeah, you may hit a little different in the SEC, but you also have a different talent level of the SEC. You have a different build in the SEC. And Coach Rusty Witt, I love what he's sharing. He's going to make this talent where now games that you should have been in, where you're missing a Dallas Wilson, where you're missing a Caleb Banks, where you're missing these key guys due to injury, they're not going to be as injured anymore because he's building that muscle. He's building that foundation that's like they can withstand the injuries.
And not only is he building the muscle, right? Because you can get any big muscle guy in the strength room, and you can make those guys do squats and bench press and eat a lot, and they're going to gain weight, and they're going to gain, on their max bench. But the key with what he's doing, what I've seen so far in the film, is that he's coaching not just effort, but execution and form, right? Because you can, if you do a squat wrong or you do a deadlift wrong, that's how injuries happen.
Yep.
But the way he's having them do those designer squats and actually wearing weightlifting shoes and not wearing Jordans, that's also going to come into play in the fall when those guys have been working out and building their bodies. They're going to have the ligaments are going to be able to catch up with where the muscles are. They're going to have the right form. They're not going to have any lingering injuries from spring ball and from winter workouts. By doing those exercises and keeping the form consistent and correct, that's how you help cut down on injury. And so if Tulane was one of the least injured teams this year, then that's great news for me, because having the entire wide receiver core hurt, having LJ McCray and Caleb Banks out after basically a game or two each that they played, those little small things, to me, everybody's like, well, how did that happen? I can tell you how that happens. That happens in the weight room and with the strength and conditioning staff. And so if Rusty Witt keeps those boys in line and keeps that form tight, I think that that's going to absolutely help with the injury bug that we dealt with last year, because our dang injury report every single year or every single game looked like a starting lineup for most teams.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I'm sitting there scrolling on it. Like, I'm like, what is this going on?
They had to build a different graphic to fit all the names. They had to go like a smaller font because we had so many guys.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong. It's the SEC. Injuries are going to happen. You're not going to have a no injury list ever. You're going to have guys that get hurt. They're going to get dinged up. But the thing is it's how long are they hurt for? That's the biggest side to it, is how long are they hurt for? How long are they out for? What is the injury? If you worked on that right now, your Januaries, your Februaries, your March, how is that looking? What are these guys eating? What are you coaching to be able to learn differently and put yourself into different, situations where you're not getting hurt, where you're not missing spring ball, where you're not dealing with the injury bug? That's what I'm so sick of. And I felt like we dealt with that the whole Billy Napier tenure. We dealt with injuries. We dealt with all these different things that came along with it. And it's just, you can't sit there and all of it, it's a machine. Every single bit of it is a machine. It all plays together. It all has its reasons for it happening. And I think that we have everything in, like, all our ducks are in a row. And everything is working out. Now, again, games have to be played. But I don't believe that a Buster Faulkner has had a firing squad like he does right now. I don't think that Brad White has had a defense like he has right now. I mean, there's some dudes on that defense. So all of that mixed together, and then you add Rusty Witt on top of that. You add positional coaches on top of that who are teaching these guys what they need to be doing and keeping them healthy, keeping them where, okay, yeah, you might miss this game. You might miss a Kentucky. We're going to beat the brakes off of Kentucky because there ain't a John Summerall-led team that's going to get beat down like that. I can promise you that. You can miss that game. We have somebody that can fill in and can cover a Will Stein recruited receiver. I don't care about that. but you're going to be back for your Tennessees. You're going to be back for your, Bamas or A&Ms or whoever you're playing in those continuous years to come forward. You're going to have that. And hates Kentucky. But yeah, man, I think that we have absolute menaces back there. You're gonna have to write me and tell me why you hate Kentucky, because I know y'all beat them every single year. So you got to tell me why you hate them.
Does Vern know how many picks he had against Kentucky in his career? He had to have had at least a couple.
He doesn't know because he didn't even know he was ranked on 247. I had to tell him. Like, you know that you're like the fourth highest recruit we've ever had. But this man, he doesn't respect how great he was. But because he was that guy. But no, so okay. We're going to move on to the next subject. And I'm glad that people are commenting now because I want some opinions from the chat here on this. There was an article that came out and a picture that was shown. And I'm sorry, this man's distracting me. But Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, he put up in a players meeting, he put up that if you're late to practice, if you're a no-show to practice, there's a different layout of different fines.
Teams, shirts and shorts.
Yeah, which makes zero sense to me. You wear another team's shirt and we're going to find you. Yeah, I don't understand. So my question is, how do you feel about them getting fined? Number one. Number two, where do you think that money goes to? Like, do they put it in a glass jar, like a swear jar, and they decide they're going to buy the rest of the team pizza with it? I don't know what they do with the money. Where does that go? But what's your opinion on it? And everyone in the chat, let me know what you think as well, because it's a pretty crazy subject.
I mean, for me, if it was John Summerall and he came out and said that, I'd go, okay, great. You're setting the standard, you're laying the ground rules. That's great. Deion Sanders has been a coach for like 3 or 4 seasons now. I mean, if I get it, if you did this with like maybe your incoming freshman group or your transfer portal group, but if you're having this in a team-wide meeting, I mean, what culture do you have being built there that you got to remind all these guys, hey, make sure you show up to practice on time. Make sure if you have a recovery session, that you go to your recovery session. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a little weird for him to be saying that in his, I think, going into his 4th season now. And granted, I mean, I know it's a new day and age and there's a lot of transfer portal and new additions and guys like that, but I thought it was a little weird that he had to, especially him. It should just, I mean, if you have a good culture, you probably just send out a memo or you put a flyer out in the first meeting or you go over it real quick. But to have it filmed for one, and to have it, delivered by the head coach in an opening team meeting for workouts, it seemed a little weird to me. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I think when I watched it, I think I had and just looking at that list, I mean, don't get me wrong, I respect it. I'm like, fine them if they're not doing what they're not supposed to be doing. But again, like Vern saying, they film it, everything. They have the well-off media his son that records everything. That's, I mean, where Deion is, the cameras are. You know that he's prime time. He attracts the cameras. He attracts the show. But the problem with that is, and I think it's a massive problem with Colorado. I think Colorado brings talent in. You had a seat in there. You had a Travis Hunter, even a Shedeur Sanders at the college level was crushing it. But I don't think that there is a structure there. And I think and now he's having to put this out there, like, you're going to get fined for that. But like you brought up, why are you having to do that in your 4th year? Why is this not set in stone? Why do you have players on your team that are wearing other teams' stuff? I mean, are you not giving them enough? Are you, which I think they are. Yeah,
they all got gold. They all got gold Blenders glasses that his collab with Blenders. I mean, they're Nike. I mean, I don't know. I didn't play for a D1 school, but you would think you would get a ginormous bag filled with gear to where, you don't need to wear USC's old polo that you had while you're walking around the team facility. I mean, that seems crazy to me. I wouldn't want to be seen in my old gear, or let alone like even in my own house by myself, because I'm not on that team. I'm not repping. Florida State's stuff if I transferred to Colorado. I mean, that seems
Yeah.
crazy to me.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. You transferred there for a reason. You left that school. I don't care if it's money. I don't care where it is. So if you are still wearing their stuff, that means that your heart still lies there and you're not going to give it everything you got at this one. So for me, I'm like, okay, instantly noted. I don't even got to find you. I already know where your place is. Your place is going to be right there on that bench. I don't care if you're a 5-star, former 5-star, because some stars go away when you get in school. I don't care what you are, but if you are wearing this other team, your heart still lies there. I don't care if you think that stuff is dope. I don't care what you think it is. Whatever it might be, go somewhere else. You're getting good NIL money. Go buy some Chrome Hearts. Go buy whatever you need to buy, but do not wear. If you're Florida and you transferred here from a Texas, I better not see no type of Longhorn on you. And if it is, you're instantly going to be second, third string. You're going to be on the bench until you can figure it out, because this is not going to work. It's not going to work. But again, kind of reversing back to the finding people, why is it that in year 4 of you being a D1 coach, are you having to structure this? Number one, I think it's because he's a transfer portal warrior. He's a lot like a Lane Kiffin. He can't recruit high school. He goes and grabs transfer portal. He tries to win now type of mentality. So he's having to reteach everybody that's on that team. And there's no leader there. But also at the same time, I just don't think that Dion really has a structure there. He tries. He's like a father figure to them, but he's almost like that lenient father that he's like, right. Yeah, hey, you're going to do this. Make sure you wear black socks, not this sock, or white socks. I can't remember which one he wants you to wear. And
JB, let me ask you this. Do you think Kirk Cignetti is fining his players for showing up late to a meeting?
And not a chance in the world.
What do you think his punishment is?
Yeah, they're flipping tires. They're running. They're sitting down. They're benched. They're not playing.
I would imagine Kurt Cignetti is either you're going to run the entire stadium stairs, or you're going to miss the first half, or you're going to ride the bench for a whole game. Like money. Yeah. I mean, again, I get it for the smaller time guys, right? Like, you've got somebody who's making $100K on NIL, $1,500 is probably a lot of money, especially after taxes. But if he had Jordan Seaton on that team, who's making, let's call it $3 million.
Yeah.
$1,500 if I'm late to practice. Screw it. It's $1,500 to me. I'm sure Jordan Seaton, that's not even one of his car payments per month.
He finds that in the couch cushions. But this is a big thing, right?
Summerall, if I would imagine if somebody did that, right? Summerall probably has his. If I was a coach, my system would be: you got 3 strikes. First 2 times, you're going to run the stairs. You're going to do something crazy, right? A lot of hard work. You're going to sweat your ass off. You're going to have to come apologize to the team in front of the entire team. Third strike, you're gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. It's mind-blowing to me that's what it truly is. Mind-blowing to me that this is like what we've come to. And I get it. I understand. We're giving money. So if we're going to give money, you're going to have to give money if you don't do right. But if you have a structure there, if you are in control of your team, if it's not this almost big hangout sesh, then you don't have to worry about this. You do not have to worry about finding players because there's a structure there. Because at the end of the day, I don't care how much money you're giving these guys, they're still kids in a sense. I mean, you asked me what I was doing at 19, 20, 21 years old, unless they're Indiana, who they're all like dang near 30. Everybody else in the country has college-age kids. They're still that. They're kids. Teach them structure. Have a structure there. Have players on your team who become leaders, your Miles Graham, your Vernell Browns, who know this is what we do at Florida. Even under a new coach, this is how Florida is. We respect it, and we're going to stay in line in this form. Don't get out of it. You're not going to show up late if we're going to win championships. If we're going to go 16-0 a la Indiana, you're going to show up on time, and you are going to give it everything you got while you're here. If you're showing up late, I don't need to take your money. Fine. Keep your $1,500 because guess what's going to happen? That's going to be the only money you're going to get. Because if you're late here, that becomes a habit and it's going to follow through to the NFL and you ain't reaching that second contract. Cool. You can have your rookie contract. You might be good enough to get there. You're not going to reach your second contract because you have no discipline whatsoever.
The NFL, I'm sure they fine the crap out of those guys if you're late. But guess what? You're late more than 1 or 2 times in a season, or you're late consistently through a 3 or 4 year contract, you're not getting another contract, right? The NFL, they can go find another corner. That's why, to me, the Deion Sanders money fine thing is just, to me, horrible culture and a horrible tone that you're setting for your team. Like, yeah, you can show up late, you just got to buy your way out of it. Like, that seems asinine to me.
You're almost setting it up. Yeah, like that's you're showing them, hey, this is how much it's going to cost. You're not saying, hey, you're going to be fined. They just, in their head, like you said, you get somebody who's making $3 million for that year. He can go, what's $1,500? I can miss practice for that. I can miss practice for $2,500. Sign me up. My body's sore. I want to stay home and play the game. I want to do this. Oh, it's cold out there. It's cold on this February 2nd day. I ain't going out to practice. No, I'll pay that money. That is a horrible.
Sorry,
horrible.
I was late. I was shooting a Chipotle commercial that paid me $50,000. So yeah, I'll pay the $1,500. How was the first 20 minutes of practice? Like,
yeah. Oh, hey, Chipotle. By the way, you need me a little bit longer. If you give me $1,500, I can stay. But if not, I gotta go. But if you pay that $1,500, yeah, it's a horrible. I think where his mind was, in all reality, I think what he's thinking is he's almost trying to set them up for the league because he knows what it was like. I will bet you money Deion was late to a couple of practices. Was he fined? Probably not. But I guarantee he was late to a couple of practices. So he's setting them up because he knows what it is. But the problem is that you're making these guys believe that come here that they're bigger than what they are. Right. You know, you haven't, in all reality, you haven't done anything to control these guys. You didn't do what Curt Cignetti did. If Curt Cignetti was to come out right now.
They didn't even won the Big 12.
Yeah.
They didn't even sniff the Big 12.
But if you come out right now, Curt Cignetti was to come out right now and say, hey, I'm paying these guys this much, and I have a new rule that I want to implement. If you're late to practice, whatever the case may be, it's going to be this much, 20,000. Where, okay, now it's a dagger. Now it kind of hurts, right? He has the say-so to say that because he's like, hey, I'm top dog here. I won a national championship. I won. Google me. I won it. I showed you what we can do here with these players. If you do this and you follow this structure here, and if you fall out of line, but the thing is, he doesn't have to do that because those guys respect him. Whereas Deion, I feel like they all look at it as like a show. Oh, look, I can get on Well Off Media on YouTube. And it's not, again, I get what he's doing. I understand what he's doing. But it only goes so far. It only does so much until it's like, okay, now it looks silly. And in year 4, whatever he's in, and it makes 0 sense. 0 sense. And that's why I just, you know, I get the finding them, but I just feel like, again, the money they're making for 1 year, shoot, that's like my boss looking at me and saying, hey, you pay $5 for this day, you don't have to come to work. Or $15, you don't have to come to work. $5, you can show up late. There's going to be a day it's going to show up. I'm like, you know what? $15?
I'd take my kid to Disney World.
Yeah. So $100 or whatever for this ticket to wherever, add $15 on top of it. I get the day off and I don't get punished for it. Sure. By all means. And I keep my job. Yeah. Why not? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me. Does not make sense to me.
I think Deion's days are numbered. So,
you know, though, I saw some things about like, oh, could he get fired? He's never going to get fired. He's never going to get fired. There's a standard at Colorado. Now, he might restructure a contract or he might medically retire, but he will never be fired. They will never be able to do it to a Deion Sanders just because of his name. And he has brought not wins there, but he's brought money there. He's packed the stadium. He's done what no one else has done.
For now.
But again, he makes it fun. But
it was fun the first 2 years when he had Shadur and Travis. But yeah, I'd love to see their TV numbers last year. I don't think anybody watched that dumpster fire.
Right. But I'm saying the students are showing out. And that's what they
Again,
want.
for now.
They want
For now.
Yeah. So if that goes down, then yeah, you could see it. But I think when that goes down, I think they'll go to him and say, hey, you got some issues with your legs, with your feet. Like, it's time to medically retire. We're not going to fire you. We're going to let you step down, and we're going to find somebody else. And we're going to invest that same amount of money into them. But I just think it's kind of silly.
Trust me, he ain't leaving without that buyout money. He's not just stepping down and saying, oh yeah, keep the buyout money. No, if you want me gone, you got to pay me my money. That's probably what he's saying. And I would do the same thing, because the best job in the world is a fired head coach.
Yeah. I need to get one of those. Go ahead and fire me. Pay me 20-something million to be bad at my job. Yeah, sign me up. Sign me up for that. But another great show. We had a lot to talk about. Sorry about the delay. There's internet issues, just a bunch of stuff, but better late than never. Like our man Swolderquist said here, smash the like button, subscribe. It helps us out a ton. We're on the road to 1,500 now, hit 1,000. So we're just working our way up.
I'm gonna hit the Swolder for him. And
yeah, is it what this?
Oh yeah,
gotta hit it for him. But yeah, man, hit the like button, share this out. Go get your granny's phone, subscribe on there. Do whatever you gotta do. Make a new YouTube, subscribe with that. If you really love us, make a couple YouTubes and subscribe to us. Let's get that up. And Vern hates Kentucky. Vern hates Kentucky. But man, I appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Honestly, it means the world. Commenting and just tuning in with us. If you're watching this after the fact, still, it costs nothing to hit that red subscribe button. It helps us out a ton and keeps pushing us to our goal of where we want to be. But we appreciate you guys every single second that you guys do for us. And you guys know how we end it here. If you ain't a Gator, y'all know the rest.